Okay. So yeah, again, welcome everyone to the new year. Happy New Year, everyone. Yeah, so we are finally in 2021. Yes. So we have okay okay, we had 11 sessions till date, and we saw different heroes from the months of September, October, November, and December. So last week of December is remaining, but we'll cover those in future. Today we'll be starting with the heroes of the January. So that's what we will be going to do, and this will be good.
Uncle, I did that quiz
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll talk about the quiz
you sent.
later on. Yes, yes. Yeah, I request everyone to do that quiz. It's a very simple one. Okay, and it's fine if you don't know the answers, because at the end you will anyway get the answers. The purpose is not to do the scoring, but to get some knowledge through that quiz. So do try it out and let me know if you like it, don't like it, you want to change it in future. Okay, we'll have many such quizzes in future. Okay. Yeah. So this is the episode 12 uh, of Fun with Heroes. And today we are going to cover these five heroes who are born in the new year. Okay. And it's going to be a very interesting session. We have a famous poet here. We also have a teacher. Then there is a world famous Indian scientist among these. We also have a military officer who worked for the independence. And we have someone who is famous for his diary. Okay, so these five people we have. Anyone know any name? Do can you recognize anyone?
Savitribai Phule.
Yes, the center one is Savitribai Phule, whose birthday is today actually, 3rd January. Yes, and yeah. So let's see. Okay, that's what we are here to learn. It will be fun actually, but all are very interesting. So the first story we have is of Mahadev Desai, Mahadev Bhai Desai, as he was called. He was born on 1st January 1892 in the village of Saras in the Surat district of Gujarat. And he belonged to a very poor family, but he was a bright student. He passed his LLB examination, which is to become a lawyer, by the end of 1913, and he decided to stay in Ahmedabad. Now, in Ahmedabad in 1915, he met Mahatma Gandhi, who had come for the first time to Ahmedabad. So, I just give you a bit idea about the history. The Mahatma Gandhi was in South Africa. He came to India in 1915 only, and he was traveling across the country. And in the same year, he went to Ahmedabad, and here Mahadev Desai met Mahatma Gandhi. Since then, he became a disciple of Gandhiji. He became his personal secretary actually, and stayed with him for the rest of his life. For next 25 years, he was like a shadow of Mahatma Gandhi. So Mahadev Desai began writing his diary from the 13th November 1917 and continued writing it until 14th August 1942, a day before he died. So for those 25 years, he continuously wrote in his diary about his interactions with Gandhiji and different things. And that diary became a very famous and is a very important document in India's history, recent history, and especially independence struggle. So he was much more than a personal secretary of Gandhiji and kept a record of every event associated with Mahatma Gandhi in his diary. Such was the bond and trust between Gandhiji and Mahadev Desai was that in 1919, when Gandhiji was arrested for the first time, okay, while protesting against the Rowlatt Act, he had nominated Mahadev Desai as his heir or वारिस basically. तो अपना वारिस बनाया था. So he considered him like his family, like his son. Mahadev Desai was only person to accompany Gandhiji when Gandhiji met King George V during the second roundtable conference. Okay, at that time, there was a meeting between Gandhiji and the king of Britain, and the only person who was present there, apart from these two, was Mahadev Desai. Okay. Apart from this, Mahadev Desai was a editor. He worked with Motilal Nehru on his newspaper Independent in Allahabad. And when the British confiscated the press, okay, they shut down the press. He started publishing the paper by printing on a cyclostyle machine, okay, by making a copy and secretly started doing that thing. He himself was an outstanding writer and especially translator. Okay, at ease with Gujarati, Bengali, and English. He converted uh, Rabindranath Tagore's work in Gujarati. The Bengali work of Tagore, he converted those into Gujarati. He also translated Gandhiji's autobiography, that is My Experiment with Truth, which was written in Gujarati to English. So whatever copy right now we see of that book available in English is thanks to Mahadev Desai. Okay. He had won many Sahitya Puraskars for his writings. Okay. He also translated English classics into Gujarati. A lot of work he did in the literature world. We talked about his diary, right? That's a very important document he wrote. So that diary was published in 22 volumes after the death of Mahadev Desai. And Mahadev Desai was arrested a number of times during the freedom struggle for participating in the Satyagraha. And he died in Aga Khan Palace. Aga Khan Palace is in Pune. So he died in Pune while he was arrested along with Mahatma Gandhi and Kasturba Gandhi. So till today in Aga Khan Palace, there is a tomb or samadhi of Mahadev Desai. So that is the story of Mahadev Desai. So you can see the here we have that diary, which is published in a book form in a 22 volumes. So this is the diary we were talking about, and below is the samadhi of Kasturba Gandhi and Mahadev Desai in Aga Khan Palace, which is there. So if you happen to visit this palace, uh, you can see this. Both of them died in Aga Khan Palace. So that is the story of Mahadev Desai. The next story we have is a Maulana Hasrat Mohani. So who was he? So Maulana Mohani was born on 1st January again in 1875 in a small town Mohani in Uttar Pradesh. His actual name was Sayyid Fazal ul Hassan. He started writing Urdu ghazals from the age of 17. At a very young age, he started writing Urdu ghazals and poems. And he adopted the pen name or the takhallus called Hasrat Mohani. And because of this, he became famous as a Maulana Hasrat Mohani. He studied in Aligarh Muslim University, AMU, and as a young activist, he jumped into the revolutionary activities. He was influenced by Bal Gangadhar Tilak and joined the Indian National Congress in 1905. Okay. And he became a journalist later on and was arrested by British for writing articles criticizing the British rule multiple times. Now, as a poet, Hazrat Mohani was a well-admired Urdu poet. Okay, his work was quite famous, quite uh, good actually. It was quite admired poet he was. He was deeply involved in the freedom struggle and communal harmony, and that is reflected in his work. Okay, and one of the reasons why he is famous is because he was the one who gave the slogan "Inkilab Zindabad." Inkilab Zindabad was a slogan adopted by all the revolutionaries of that era. If you read the stories of Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, or other revolutionaries, even those within the
Yes.
Congress,
Yes.
right? So Inkilab Zindabad was the slogan that was heavily used against the British. So that slogan was coined by Hazrat Mohani in 1921. He was also the first leader who demanded complete independence in 1921. When other leaders were talking about dominion status and other things, he demanded a Purna Swaraj, okay, like Tilak. So he believed in that ideology. He was also the member of All India Muslim League and supporter of the Khilafat movement. He was later associated with the Communist Party of India and opposed the partition of India and chose to live in India after the partition. He was also the part of the Constituent Assembly which drafted the Indian Constitution. So he also represented uh, uh, made a representation in the constitution drafting. And there is a very popular ghazal. I'm not sure if you heard that. Okay, that is Chupke Chupke Raat Din. Okay, which is sung by Ghulam Ali. Okay, and Jagdish Singh, which was written by Hasrat Mohani. And there are many such ghazals, but this is one of the very famous ghazal. You can find that in YouTube or the
What's ghazal?
ghazal is basically a roughly we can say a Urdu poem. Okay, but it's written in a different way. There's a different stanzas. So I'm not very sure of the classical definition of ghazal, but it's a similar to a poem. Okay, it can be sung,
Okay.
the song. Okay, so, so that's the story of Maulana Hazrat Mohani. Now, next story is very interesting. As we talked about, I told you, right? There is a story of a world famous scientist, and here we have that in the form of Satyendra Nath Bose or SN Bose, as he was called. So he was born on 1st January 1894 in Calcutta. And Bose was a brilliant student since his childhood. And after the schooling, he joined the Presidency College in Calcutta. Presidency College in Calcutta was a very famous college, and you will find many brilliant scientists and other leaders actually associated with that college. So in Presidency College, Meghnad Saha was his classmate. I think we have gone through the story of Meghnad Saha, who was also another scientist, a famous Indian scientist. So Meghnad Saha was a classmate of Satyendra Nath Bose. Okay, and
Well, your voice is breaking.
yeah, as I mentioned, there is some work going on. Okay, yeah. Now, is it fine? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll try to speak louder. Yeah. So, as I mentioned, Meghnad Saha, who was another Indian scientist, who was his classmate, professors like Praful Chandra Ray and Jagdish Chandra Bose, okay, also taught in that college. Okay, so those were his teachers. So this was the uh, ambience or environment of Presidency College. Right? So SN Bose then received a Bachelor's of Science in Mixed Mathematics and Master of Science in the same subject from the Presidency College with top honors. As we see, he did his education in mathematics, not in physics. Okay. But later on, he contributed greatly towards the physics because ultimately, in the science discipline, these are all interconnected. And SN Bose started his career in 1916 as a lecturer in the University College of Science in Calcutta. And here Bose and Saha both worked together. Both were junior lecturers. And in 1919, they did an English translation of Albert Einstein's special and general relativity papers. So Albert Einstein, you know, right? One of the most famous scientists of the world. So he gave
Yes.
two principles. One is a
Yes.
special relativity theory and general relativity theory. Now those topics are very advanced topics. I will not go in details of those things, but for those he was given the Nobel Prize. Okay? And that is why he changed the dynamics of physics. Okay, he redefined the physics, Einstein. But the Einstein's papers were originally published in German. Einstein himself was a German, right? So those papers, the theories were published in German. So SN Bose and Meghnad Saha translated those in English, and these were actually appreciated by Einstein himself. Now in 1921, SN Bose moved to the newly established Dhaka University. Remember that time, the Bengal was a single Bengal. Okay, so the Bangladesh was also part of the Bengal. So he moved to Dhaka, where there was a Dhaka University, newly established Dhaka University, and SN Bose started working there as a reader in physics. And he prepared diligently for the lectures he gave to his postgraduate students. So while preparing such lectures for his physics class, he was reading about the Max Planck's quantum theory formula. Max Planck was another brilliant scientist who had given the quantum theory equations. But SN Bose was not satisfied with some of those equations. So he worked on those, he replaced them with his own equations. Okay. But there was no science journal who was willing to publish it because SN Bose was a very junior scientist that time. So there was no one was willing to publish it. So in 1924, a 30-year-old SN Bose sent his research paper to Albert Einstein for his comments. He directly sent it to Einstein, okay, for his comments. Einstein instantly saw that Bose's work was very valuable. So Einstein realized his work, and he translated Bose's work in German and got it published in the German magazine called Zeitschrift für Physik. Okay, that's a German magazine. Einstein published S.N. Bose's work. Okay, and S.N. Bose was very young at that time. He was just a 30-year-old. So that's the kind of achievement he had. After that, the Bose paper is now recognized as one of the most important theoretical papers in the founding of quantum theory. It became that famous, and that fundamental paper research the field of quantum theory. Einstein adopted Bose's idea and extended to the atoms in the Bose-Einstein constant. So there is a new type of theory that came in picture, which is a Bose-Einstein condensate, which is state of a metal, and the subatomic particles which obey this state, basically Bose-Einstein condensate, came to be known as the bosons after Bose. So the particles were given the name of SN Bose. The particles are known as the bosons. We'll come to know, and there's a long history of bosons. I, I'm not going the technical details of those things. Yes, some of these are also new to me. They're very advanced topics, but this is the kind of impact SN Bose had, not only nationally but internationally. Okay. After his paper was published, he spent 2 years in Europe working with the topmost scientists of that era. On his return, he became the head of the physics department in the Dhaka University. In 1945, he came back to Kolkata, okay, and continued his research and teaching. And Bose was very interested in making the science popular among youth. He was also a strong supporter of Indian independence movement. At that time, the freedom movement was going on. So he believed that a well-educated and enlightened population can secure India's future. So he believed in those things, that the educated population, the population that believes in science, can define India's future. Yeah. He was honored by Indian government with the Padma Vibhushan in 1954 and appointed as a national professor. In 1958, he became a fellow of the Royal Society. Now, sad part is that a number of scientists have received Nobel Prize based on Bose's work, the work that is done by Bose, especially the concept of boson. Okay, but S.N. Bose himself never received a Nobel Prize. Okay, just a side fact is that Peter Higgs is another scientist who provided theoretical proof of why some particles have weight. Okay, and he used the theory of Bose, the Bose-Einstein constant and boson particle. He used the theory of those, and the new particles uh, are called the Higgs boson particles. And more famously, these particles are called God particles. Okay, and and for this research, Peter Higgs was awarded Nobel Prize in 2010. So that is the impact SN Bose had in the field of science. So that's the story of SN Bose. The fourth story we have is Savitribai Phule, one of India's most famous teacher, I would say. So Savitribai Jyotirao Phule was born on 3rd January 1831 at Naigaon, which is near Pune, as Savitribai Patil. At the age of 10, she was married to 13-year-old Jyotirao Phule. So it was very common in those era, in 18th century, to have that kind of early marriage. But Jyotirao Phule was very progressive, and he educated his wife at home and trained her to become a teacher. Savitribai also took teachers training at Miss Farah's Institute in Ahmednagar and in the normal school of Miss Michelle in Pune. And she was one of the very few literate women of that time. That time literacy was not there, especially among women. So she was one of the very few literate women of that era. Now in 1848, Jyoti Rao and Savitribai started India's first school for girls in Pune. Okay. And Savitribai became the first teacher at the school. And she was only 17 years old that time. Okay. So at the age of 17 years old, she became India's first teacher of girls, or first woman teacher uh, in 1848. But this was a very progressive step for that era, right? So they faced a number of obstacles from their families. Okay, their families boycotted them, society boycotted them, and because of these progressive steps, they were supported by their friends like Usman Sheikh and Sister Fatima Sheikh, and but others provided support as well. They provided land for the school, they provided accessories and other things. So this way they started running uh, multiple schools, and then they also started school for the marginalized communities, right? The people from the backward communities. Now, within a decade, the initial three schools were closed down. They started three schools but they were closed down within a decade. But they did not lose hope. The couple continued their mission of educating women and oppressed communities. Over the years, Savitribai opened 18 schools, yeah, 18 schools, and taught children from different castes, different strata of societies. Another area of concern was children dropping out of school. So they will come to school, but after some time they will drop out. To stop this thing, Savitribai started the practice of giving stipends for attending school. This was a new concept at that time. Okay, so if you come, and that helped because most of the kids who were dropping out, they would drop out to help their family to earn money, right? So giving stipend it helped actually and further the education. She remained an inspiration for the young girls she taught. She also started night school for the daily laborers. So in the field of education, this Savitribai Phule and Jyotirao Phule did amazing work that time. Okay. They built a revolutionary social education movement, empowering all the sections of the society. And they also worked tirelessly against the social evils, especially Savitribai worked against social evils like child marriage and sati pratha, which was common that time. She also supported child widows, okay, because the marriages were happening quite early. Uh, there were child widows which were not taken care by society, so she became a support for them. They also initiated relief camps when there was a famine or there was a plague in Pune. There was a very famous plague in 1897 in Pune. Okay. So they did a lot of relief work that time. Okay. And Savitribai was a leading figure of Maharashtra's social reform movement and remains an inspiration to all the Indians till today. Okay. And I'm not sure if you know this, but the University of Pune, okay, which is at on the Ganesh King Road, which was named in her honor as a Savitribai Phule Pune University in 2015. So, so that's the legacy of Savitribai Phule. Okay. And the last story we have is General Mohan Singh. Now, General Mohan Singh was an army officer, but his role was totally different. So let's talk about this story. So he was born on 3rd January 1909 in Ugok village near Sialkot, which is right now in Pakistan. After passing the high school, he joined the 14th Punjab Regiment of the British Indian Army in 1927. During World War II, Mohan Singh, who was a captain at that time, who fought for the British, okay, fought in the British Malaysia, which is right now British Malaya, which is right now the Malaysia region in the Southeast Asia. So there was a war going on that time against the Japanese. So he was part of that war, fighting part of the British Indian Army. And he was captured by Japanese as a prisoner of war, okay, at Jitra, which was a place in Malaysia. Now, at that time, there was another person called Gianni Pritam Singh, who was a member of the Gadar party in Malaya, who had entered into an agreement of collaboration with a Japanese officer called General Fujiwara. General Fujiwara was a Japanese officer fighting, okay, leading the Japanese army in the Malaya region. Okay, so along with Pritam Singh uh, and Fujiwara, they came up with the concept of Azad Hind Fauj. Okay. So what was Azadin for? So idea was to create an army of the captured Indian soldiers. There were a number of Indian soldiers, British Indian soldiers captured by Japanese. So idea was to create an army of those captured Indian soldiers to fight against the British for their own independence. So Mohan Singh, who was also a captured soldier, he organized the Indian soldiers into the first INA. The first INA was formed under General Mohan Singh. Okay. So, and he organized the soldiers in Malaysia to fight against the British. He was appointed as the general of the Indian National Army, okay, which is INA or Azad Hind Fauj. In 1942, Ras Bihari Bose had established the Indian Independence League in Japan. So Ras Bihari was another leader who was working on the same goal in Japan. So INA was placed under Ras Bihari Bose after that. After some time, Mohan Singh had huge disagreements with the Japanese because he thought the Japanese were not coming true to their promise of helping the INA. So he raised doubts. So Japanese arrested him and sent him to jail. In 1943, ultimately, Subhash Chandra Bose took over the INA from Ras Bihari Bose. Yeah, Subhash Chandra Bose came to Singapore, okay, and he took in charge of the INA. After that, Mohan Singh was released from the jail, but Mohan Singh is remembered as the first captain to organize Indian National Army. Okay. Now, what happened to INA? So, after defeat of Japanese, INA also lost to British. They had to retreat. All the major officers of INA, the Indian National Army, were arrested by the British. And they were tried. There was a famous trial in Bedford. We'll talk about those stories sometime. Right? But Mohan Singh could not join army again. But he became a member of Rajya Sabha in India. After the partition, his home was in Pakistan, but he chose to live in India and settled near the place called Ludhiana. So that is the story of General Mohan Singh, who was associated with Indian National Army. So these are the 5 stories we had. So now you know the names. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the story. Yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. So tell me the names. Okay, anything. Do you know them? The first one is,
Savitribai Phule,
yes.
General Mohan Singh,
Sing.
Who is this?
SN Bose,
Yes.
SN Bose,
SN Bose is there.
The book one.
Mahadev Desai,
Mahadev Desai,
then
yes.
Maulana
Hasrat Mohani, yes.
Hasrat Mohani.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we are just going through the stories. So you can always refer to this stories on these heroes, okay, the site, or in the online as well. You can search for these people and you will get more details about these people. Right. So before finishing, we'll have our fun quiz. So one by one, you give answer. Okay. So who was modern India's first woman teacher? Very simple question.
Savitribai Phule.
Yes. Who we have? Savitribai Phule. Yes. Yes, definitely. And boson particle.
Uh, S.N. Bose.
Satyendra Nath.
Satyendra Nath Bose. Yes, Satyendra Nath
S.N.
Bose.
Bose.
Yes, the boson particle. Yeah, it's a name after him. Okay. The next, okay, Inkilab Zindabad. Who gave the slogan of Inkilab Zindabad?
Hasrat Mohani.
Hasrat Mohani.
Perfect. Hasrat Mohani is the answer. Right. Who established INA? Who was the first captain of INA?
Mohan Singh.
Mohan Singh, yes. Yeah, General Mohan Singh. And that's all we have for today. So thank you again for attending this and keep reading
Bye.
and keep exploring. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.